Welcome back to our podcast. Today we have with us Eden Alpert, who is the daughter of iconic Herb Alpert, the iconic American trumpeter, and also known for A&M Records and a slew of philanthropic things, and just a wonderful, so much to say about him himself. And also Eden, who is the partner and face of Vibratos.
If you love live music, you love a sexy vibe, and you love great food, then you're gonna wanna come to what I have for you. My name is Eden Alpert. I'm the co-partner and owner of Vibrato Grill Jazz with my father, Herb Alpert, the iconic jazz musician, who had a vision to build this beautiful jazz supper club, all in mind of the musicians out there that need a place to perform. Imagine not only good food, but the sexy clinking of martini glasses at the bar just to your left. Then you walk in and you see this beautiful stage with live music, and you don't know who's gonna be performing that night. It could be Herb Alpert. It could be Seth MacFarlane. It could be a local artist. This is why we built this place. You know you're gonna have an amazing meal. Steak, fish, chicken, pasta, even vegan. A wonderful sexy drink, and top it off with wonderful desserts. You're gonna walk out of a place like Vibrato so happy. Click the reservation link below, and please make sure you try and find me. One of my biggest passions is meeting all of you.
Here with us with Shawn today, talk about all the things she's up to and music, and go into a whole different direction. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I know the club very well. I used to play there like a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I stopped playing live years
You should
ago.
play there again.
Yeah. So it's funny, I knew the place because we went over there. I forget how originally we went there. It was some show. She said, let's go down there. I went we're driving over. I go, I know where I'm going, I think. And so I pull in, I'm like going, oh, I played this place. I mean, because those days are kind of in my past.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really, really cool. A good band. I can't remember the band.
It was like the holiday time. It was like Reggie Calloway.
Oh yeah,
and
Reggie.
I think his
We were
brother,
there for Reggie. Reggie and his brother.
Yeah, we'd met him, and also Lily Hayden.
Yeah.
She. I think
That's right. She sat in.
She was there.
I've looked at her before.
And I think Reggie has a brother, right?
Yeah, he has a brother.
He was up there too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's always up there.
Yeah.
But,
No, it was
support.
great.
Yeah, Reggie's great.
But yeah, your dad, I mean, he's legendary as far as, because we ran A&M Records. I mean, I've worked there a bunch of times in my record days, and I had a friend that used to be head engineer there.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember he called me one night in pain.
Was it Shelly Yakus?
No, Chris Norris.
Oh.
And he calls me because he's going, man, I'm dealing with this band. It's horrible. I'm like, dude, it's a gig, right? He goes, no, it's Keanu Reeves. And because he had this band called Dogstar.
I've heard about
and
that.
And it was horrible. He's playing it to me over the phone. I'm like going, collect the check, you'll survive. And he's a nice guy, just get over it.
Yeah.
But it was probably the last time I was down there. And then I think it went over to Jim Henson Company for a while.
It's still Jim Henson.
Still Henson, yeah, because I went to an event there once. But so it was kind of a small world that this happened. And it's one of the things I kind of talk about through all my gas is how this business is, all this relationship stuff, and you never know who you're going to run into. You have no clue. And it could be 20 years down the road. Yeah. And you go, wait a minute, I know that dude or dude. And so I think it's really cool. And then, so I thought it'd be exciting to have you talk about the club. It's a great club. I mean, supper club, but what are we going to call it? I mean,
it's a club. Herb, my dad had a vision, and Pat Senator, who probably had booked you to play back in the day when we first opened, I think Pat was with us probably the first 10 years of Vibrato being open. And then my dad wanted to be a straight ahead jazz supper club with really good food. So he had this vision, and someone was up there building a place.
Okay.
And I think everything fell apart. So Pat said, hey dude, man, I got this killer place that you could do this jazz club in. It's in the Glen Center in Bel Air. You know Pat. Do you remember Pat Senator?
Mm-hmm.
He's a bass player for the Tijuana Brass.
Okay.
Original bass player who's now living in Rome.
Really?
Yeah, he moved to Rome. Him and his wife Barb are so happy there. They're perfect there.
That's good.
So yeah, my dad went up, and I was in transition because my dad had just sold Rondor, the publishing company.
Yeah.
And I was working in publishing, pitching music for film and television. And I was like, what am I going to do? I'm a single mom. I've got this little kid. And so I started working for a friend in Beverly Hills at Tesoro, this great store. And then I kind of got wind of it. He didn't even tell me about it. So I called this friend of mine who had a flower shop up in the Glen Center. And I go, can I come work for you so I can get to know the crowd? Because it's
Right,
all about,
sure.
as you said, relationship buildings. And I'm the only extrovert in the family.
Really?
So yeah,
Interesting.
I'll talk to anybody.
Yeah,
I love
I
people.
know. It's like that's how we
I
started
genuinely
talking.
love people. So I call my dad an extrovert on stage and an introvert in life. I'm an
that's
extrovert
funny.
in everything.
And
Well,
what
my
about
dad,
your and what about your siblings?
they're both pretty. Well, my sister's an actress, but they're guarded, and I'm like, bleh.
They
I'll
talk
talk
to
about
anybody.
any.
No, that's
Yeah,
really perfect.
I'll talk to anybody. I love people. I'm curious about people. I like to know, like, if you're eating something, somehow I'll get someone to give me a bite of their food. You know, pre-COVID. So I genuinely love people. So when we opened it, I started out as a hostess because I said, Dad, when I lived in Chicago, just long story short, I was going there for fashion and marketing. I wanted to open clothing stores all over the place. And I started working at California Pizza Kitchen there, and I fell in love with the service industry. I don't have to lie to you about how you look. You know, it's like you know, in clothing, you're like, yeah, that looks great on you, just because I want to make it sound that's
right.
so not me. I'm like, no, that doesn't make your butt look good. I'm just not that person. So I loved working in the restaurant industry. So when I got wind that he was doing this and he hadn't told me, I was like, I'm going to work up here, and everyone's going to love me. And so that's how I got to know
So
the area.
how old were you when you started doing that?
Well, it was like 2004. So I'm going to be 56. So 17 years ago.
Okay.
And you know,
Right.
I
Wow.
literally started as a hostess, and then my dad doesn't understand my extrovertedness. He kind of is afraid of it. And now he embraces it, but he's like, man, you know how to work a room? You need to be my partner. Because he was watching me touch
That's
every
cute.
table and just running around like a butterfly. And so he made me a partner back then, like within 6 months of us opening. Although I really had no say until probably about 8 years ago.
Okay.
That's all right.
Yeah,
That's all
it's
right.
okay. It's okay. You know, he's a tough cookie sometimes.
That's all right. You know.
He's an artist. He wants it the way he wants it.
I know.
Yeah, you get that.
I know. I know the feeling. I'm very difficult.
Yeah. I wouldn't say difficult. I just say very, well, he's set in his ways. That's, I guess, a little difficult. To me, it's difficult, I guess.
Yeah, you're doing a certain thing. It's kind of funny because like when all this started kind of happening and she connected with you and stuff, and I was talking about, like we mentioned briefly, all that school stuff, like Cal Arts and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of people have been bugging me lately in the last couple of years. Is go teach, and
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm kind of like,
I think you should.
I used to teach long, many moons ago at a galaxy far, far away. Like, you know, when I was high school. So I went to Berklee College of Music in Boston, but at the same time I was doing seminars like at all the other colleges, like conservatory and all that kind of stuff. And then I taught privately in Boston, and then when I finally made the move out here, I taught for MI for a while. I just didn't like it. I was just like, not my bag. I like doing seminars because you can just do your own deal. Like, you know,
A speaker. You should be a speaker.
Right,
Like,
right.
you just go, you get paid to do that, and you leave. Or maybe get a few
Yeah,
questions.
so years later, I'm living out here, you know, I'm doing my scoring thing and all that. And a friend of mine, his family's like one of the biggest publishing family business in Hollywood, and his son was going to Cal Arts. So he said, "Hey, he's doing a recital." And this is when their dad's name popped up, because I hadn't heard from him for a while. You know, I mean, I grew up listening to stuff, but so I go there, I go, this place is pretty rocking. I mean, this is a cool program and all that. So then she starts talking and said, maybe I should check out Carl Arts. Who knows? I mean, you know, and UCLA did contact me and didn't work out, but I mean, so I thought it was fascinating. There's nothing I ever wanted to do, but now I'm going, why not? It's
Every year's
close,
a different
you know.
year, you know, one day at a time. You might
And
want
you
to do
said
it
such
now
a
and then.
plethora of information to teach people and to, you know, help like the new generation and everything.
Yeah, it's a different world now, and it's like, and I think the biggest thing they've missed when they're teaching these days is that, I mean, you can learn all the theory and the harmony and all that stuff. You can go anywhere for that. You can buy books, you can go online, you can go to a YouTube video. Doesn't matter. What I don't think they really teach us how to navigate in this business, and no one can teach you that.
Now, how do you navigate in this business now? It's a whole other.
I know. Now it's a whole nother world.
I don't know. I got to get a SWAT team or something. But but I remember like the first I started doing seminars at Berklee, because every time I go back home to Boston to visit my family, I go, "What do you want me to teach these kids? They're already in school." And they would say, was Dan Carlin. He was running head of the department then, that now is at USC, but he said, just scare the shit out of them. I'm like, I said, all right, I can do that. I can do it pretty good, actually. And my opening thing was, all these little young faces there, right? And they're all like, thinking, everything's going to be amazing. So cool. I'm going to get a degree and I'm going to make $1 million and all that. And I said, how do you guys have girlfriends and boyfriends? And they're like, little hands go up. I said, dump them. I said, if you really want a career in this business, here at school, you're going to go out to LA, dump them, you're going to lose them. It's distractions.
Yeah, that's funny.
And they weren't expecting me to say anything like this. Yeah. And they were like, oh God, why do we have them here? Why? And they were all like, but it was kind of, I said, you want me to scare them with this reality. It's like, but how do you, because I got really involved with how do you negotiate, how do you deal with people, how do you, all your relationships. I mean, you might be at a movie set and get friends with a janitor. And the next thing you know, he owns a movie studio. Or vice versa. Don't burn bridges. So that's kind of like that. So that's kind of stuff I want to teach if I go back into that world.
I think that's a great thing to teach, because I'm trying to teach my daughter, who's an introvert. She's an extrovert, but she's learning. You have a mom like me who knows, like, they call me the mayor. They're like, I was at Mac the other day buying getting a new phone on Sunday. I spent the whole 3 hours there Saturday and didn't run into anyone, but I run into literally 5 people while I'm standing. The guy goes, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "Well,
mayor."
I was like, I grew up here. It's a Sunday. It's Century City, and I'm never on that side anymore because I moved up by Vibrato. And since I moved, I love kind of the private. There's a side of me that is like, I'm done being social. I just want to be.
Oh, you could never be not social.
Well, I just need moments of quiet. It's in my.
So
it's in my DNA.
How old is your daughter?
My daughter's 26, but she's wanting to do documentary filmmaking and editing, and she went to the New York Film Academy to get her master's degree right when COVID hit. Okay. So she's already got her degree.
That's good.
In what is it? News? What?
Like journalism?
Journalism.
Okay.
But she doesn't want to do that. She's more into, she's a producer.
Okay.
She likes producing. So she's working with a guy right now, but I'm such a networker. I've got so many female producer directors in my phone. I'm like, you need to call them. They all want to meet with you and just have lunch. So she's learning the networking part of it. Right. So that's every music supervisor I worked with back in the day, I could still pick up the phone and say, hey, someone dropped a killer song off. You might want to hear it, or they're playing it.
How did you have such an ear for music and everything, or finding talent and everything? It just was something.
I think music has always driven me. So I thought I was a singer when I was little, and I played, wrote a song for my dad and Lonnie, and they said, don't ever do that again. Which to me is called a dream stealer, because you don't know what it can turn into. Maybe they should have given me a voice lesson.
You can still make it, and then they're going to be sad.
It really freaked me out. So back then. But then,
as my daughter says, no one should dim your sparkle.
No one should dim any of your sparkle. But then working. So my dad had a fragrance company back in the 90s, and so when I'm like the jack of all. We were talking about, but I master them. I'm not the master of none. I kind of master them. I'm very hands-on. So I worked in that company. I was a fragrance model for them, and then I had a bunch of accounts. And then he brought some people in, and the company just too much money into the company, and it did really well. The fragrance is called Listen. It was in all the major department stores. It was great. It was one of my favorite fragrances.
I like that. Yeah.
It was really beautiful, and he had a lot to do with it. Ironically enough, that they don't like any kind of scent walking into their house. I thought it was funny that they started this fragrance company. So that closed, and I said, what am I going to do? And he goes, you're going to work in publishing. And I didn't even know there was such a thing as publishing. I think I was early 30s. I was just coming out of my divorce and living in Newport Beach, and I had to move back up to LA, but at the time I was commuting. So he put me in every department, royalties. And
smart.
My cousin Derek was the head of film and TV music. And so I ended up being in the film department and was pitching, because I worked really well with the writers, and I had an ear. So I'd sit in on the Friday afternoon A&R meetings.
Wow.
I believe it. Do you know who Mindy Bear is? Amazing Jackson. Okay, so Mindy.
We really went to Ricky. I've known her forever.
I have I am out with my ex-husband walking through the promenade, and I see this beautiful chick with blonde hair,
Oh, yeah.
curly hair, playing the sax. And I walk up to her and I'm like, you're amazing. You're beautiful to look at. And you sound amazing. So I bring her into a meeting and Lance Freed says she's not ready. Because, and now she's Mindy Bear. She's one of the top female jazz saxophone players out there. And she's incredibly talented. But I think because my dad told me it's a feeling. And if you walk into a room and you get that feeling. And I get goosebumps talking about it. Like what he did with the Carpenters. No one else wanted them, but there was, and you don't look at them. It's kind of like The Voice, you're not looking at the whole,
right?
But that feeling that you get when you hear someone.
It's so weird you mentioned Minnie. When we were in Boston, she used to crash at my mom's house.
Really?
And then we all moved out here. My friend,
Such a small world.
we called him the Catman. It's a big black dude bass player.
Oh, you're talking about him
Amazing.
the other day.
He had a massive crush on her. So when we had to move, he's like, he'll do anything, right? Moving her stuff, and I'm like, Mr. Lazy. I'm like, yeah, you can move that mattress. I'll be over here with my Coke and smile. And I've known him that long, and we just recently was working on a track that I had co-written with Robin Zander with Cheap Trick, and he's so busy touring right now, it's insane. So he's got no time to do a final. So I called her. Will you sing it? She goes, I can't sing that track. I mean, because Robin's got this stupid range, and she's more a sax player, and
I didn't even know she could sing.
Oh yeah, she can. I said you can knock it out, right? And right now everything's about diversity, so if we could get a female on it, right? But this was just a couple months ago, so it's weird. These connections. See, again, you don't know.
I didn't even know you knew Minnie.
I've known her for like 40 years.
And that's like my first find. And then we had another one and they turned it down. And of course, they ended up being a huge heart. I just have this way. And I'm not always right at vibrato. I have people come to me all the time on Facebook, on Instagram. I found some great ones. And then some, they could be overproduced when you hear their when you go on their websites. And if I can't go see them live, that can be a problem. You don't have to trust that maybe
because you pretty much have music every night there now.
We have music every night
Wow.
except Monday, and it's different every single night. So a lot of the people I've brought in, sometimes Hussein, who's my dad's bass player, is now our musical director along with me. So we don't butt heads very much. Like, we respect each other. Sometimes he's like, no, Eden, I don't think this is a good fit for vibrato. And I'm like, no, I do. So, and then when we usually agree to disagree, and we both agree with each other, but sometimes I'm stubborn with something and I want them back in and it'll fill the room and it'll have a great night. It's also, I try not to make it personal. There's certain types of music I don't love, but I love it. Does that make sense? Like, I wouldn't be listening to the Yellow Jackets on the radio, but once I was there, it's a transformation when you come into
Right.
Music is a transformation. I could be in the worst mood. We had a really shitty couple weeks about a month ago. Just a lot of death and nothing to do with COVID. And I walked into vibrato and I think I just walked in like heavy, just ugh. And the minute I walked in there, I was like, I'm good now.
Right.
I'm good. Like, this whole room just transformed my whole mood.
This is what you're supposed to do anyway.
Yeah.
It's take you out.
Yeah.
I mean, not take you out.
Take you out.
Take you out. But no, I think it's awesome. It's a great hang. I mean, that was like, and a friend of mine just recently played there. A longtime friend. We actually interviewed him here. Corey, the accordion player.
Oh, the accordion player.
Yeah.
See, that's another one. If I no, I don't want to go in. But then you go in and you're like, oh my God, that's amazing.
No,
he's
another
incredible.
level.
Yeah, he's another level. He's another level.
And I forget, I met him through a drummer friend of mine, and years ago. And he's every time he's in LA, he's gonna come over and he's a fellow Paisan, Italian.
That's what Pat said.
And
you Italians.
He lives out in Providence, Rhode Island, and he's all over the place. I don't know how he gets those gigs. He's a coordinator, but never think.
He says he's busy, like, constantly.
He's constantly working.
Because it's unique. I think people
And he
want.
plays. He's like Chick Corea on the.
You get someone not the norm.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about, why do you want the norm? I'm bringing these two brothers in called the Edwards twins because I saw them at I saw someone post that they were at Vitello's. They're two identical twin brothers, probably in their 50s, 60s. They're impersonators, but they also do the singing. But I was like, these guys are so good. I want to bring this kind of fun shit to vibrato because it's like different. You don't want the same.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I swear a lot. I think it's a music thing. I hope it's okay.
Yes.
But anyway, I'm bringing
I
a
didn't
lot of
notice it.
different. I'm bringing a lot of different stuff in, you know. So and that's what's making it so diverse. When it was so straight ahead, it just wasn't drawing, and it wasn't drawing the younger.
Right.
It was drawing like the albacakas that I say. You know, that's my one Yiddish term besides schwitzing that I know.
That's funny. That's funny. No, it seems that it's always busy there. Everyone's always, you know.
It's pretty busy, and then the nights that we're not, sometimes, you know, we're off the beaten path, so it's a destination. It's a whole experience. So we have our regulars, because we're a full bar up there, that come up every night just because the bar's there. And then we have, you know, people that it's like a destination. They'll say, I have to schlep up the hill. And I'm like, you know, it's really 10 minutes from Beverly Hills. It's 10 minutes from pretty much everything
Right.
except
All
here.
that area's like that.
Yeah.
But Beverly Hills, there's
really not
there's
that
no
far.
good place to
Yeah.
get there. This
Yeah.
isn't, you know, when I lived down there, going anywhere was like, oh, man.
For me, living at the top of like Cody Road, right off Woodcliff, I feel like I'm 10, 20 minutes from everything except you.
No, I'm definitely off the beaten path. It's so funny. Like, once I moved up here, it's crazy. I mean, it was a long,
Like,
long
how
time
far is
ago.
the market?
Huh?
I'm just kidding.
No, but it was so weird because I was like right down in Beverly Hills, and it's a crazy story that I ended up getting evicted because of my friend that plays in the band, Yes. And he did some stunt and basically got us evicted. It's a crazy story. He thought it was funny. I didn't. But we're still friends. But it was time to go, you know, and like I said, I was moving, I had horses out here, so I was married at the time. She wanted to still stay in Beverly Hills, that's where she's raised, and I could care less. I'm from Boston, you know? And so we find this place, and I knew nothing about this area. I just found a place and went, this is it. I got space. I could build a nice big studio.
Yeah.
This is cool. So my agent at the time literally calls me, Jeff Kaufman. And, you know, because it's called Candy Country.
Yeah.
It's mostly known for trailer parks. And
Not
which is
this
fine.
area.
No.
Yeah.
See, no one knows this area, right? So I didn't either.
I was like,
going-
I'd buy a house here.
and
Yeah.
so he calls me, he goes, is everything all right? I go, what are you talking about? Dude, you're making really good money. What's going on? I said, yeah, and I said, why are you moving there? What happened? And he thought, like I crashed
Trailer
and
park,
burned,
yeah.
right? I'm like, no, dude, you got to come out here, man. Now, he never did come out here. And that's the problem I have, because most of my friends still live down on the other side of the hill. And getting them to come out here, they think they're going to Mars. Like, you know, it's like so far away. I said, it's 45 minutes.
Yeah, especially with no traffic. It took me, 35. There was a little bit of
Yeah.
traffic. It's not that far.
Yeah,
But
so I was
even
like-
me, living in Sherman Oaks, how people are like, we don't want to come all the way. I'm like,
It's not that far.
It's
I mean,
not
it's like when I was living in Beverly Hills, I was working on a bunch of shows down there. I was working on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and to go down to the session, so the spotting session would take me 45 minutes. It's only in Santa Monica.
yeah. So
And I was in Beverly Hills. I'm like, it's took
Crazy.
that long to go 10 miles. So I'm like, guys, get over, and that's fine. I can live on the moon. That's fine, you know. But you have everything out here. You got space. You don't have, you know, everybody out here is in the
Horses and
business.
everything. It's like ranch.
It's beautiful.
Ranch land.
I mean, it's
no,
just,
I was like, literally like, oh my God, this is awesome.
no one knows it's here. I
No.
love it, and I'd never change it.
They're working on the gates, but there's a gate at each side. There's a big whole thing going on. So it's gated. It's very secluded. So
like,
you
literally, all my
don't have to worry
neighbors-
about anything.
They all know you. I pulled into the wrong driveway. I'm like,
They're all
Palmer.
They're all in the biz. I mean, you know, one of my buddy, I think he finally retired. He says he's going to retire. I think he's lying. And he just did a big Spielberg movie, and he blows stuff up. Now, that's kind of a cool gig.
Both are.
I'd love to blow stuff up.
Yeah.
It would be really fun,
Yeah.
you know. But so I don't know. It's weird living up here. Because it's the distance. But like most of my buddies don't come up here. I have to drive down there, and I don't want to drive down there. So I'm
Well,
a
so you
hermit.
get very comfortable. Like my dad's all the way out past Suma Beach. And
Okay.
Where's he?
past Suma Beach.
Oh, past Suma Beach.
Just,
Okay.
just past Suma, just past
That's where
Broad
my
Beach.
mom's out there.
Yeah, and it's, you know, they have 7 acres, and they refuse to leave still because of COVID, but we're slowly getting him to leave. But
Oh, he's
His
barely
recording-
still not going out very much. But isn't
not
he,
at all.
Really?
Well, he's turning
Yeah, yeah.
87 on the
Wow.
31st of this month,
Oh wow.
and they have a tour booked. Lonnie is very.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, it's like in like
Starts in
May-ish or
June.
something. Okay.
They had stuff for these months, but then they pushed it because Lonnie's a little, you know, she's scared. I just don't know anyone who's really scared anymore like that. So you get comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, they say, and I think my dad's going a little crazy now because, you know, he's got his recording studio there. He's got his art studio for painting, and then his sculptures, he does everything right there. So he goes down into the studio and rehearses 3 hours a day so that he can still breathe and play the trumpet for 90 minutes.
Wow.
And then he goes down into the painting room and he paints in there, and then he goes down to sculpt. So it's like boom, boom, boom. He doesn't need to leave.
Yeah, she's been really interested in getting me out of the house because I'm a hermit. I do not leave the house.
And I'm like social, I go everywhere. So
Yeah, she's a social fly creature, whatever you call it, and social butterfly.
Yeah.
And I'm like going, I don't really need to go anywhere, you know.
Yeah.
I'm really lazy, you know. Like, oh, let's go take the dogs out for a walk. So they got 5 acres and they run all over the place. What do I have to do anything?
Well, it's really the walk for you.
I get it. But I walk from the bedroom to the kitchen.
That's why you need to go walk the dogs.
And now I'm recording a lot of stuff just in my house. I didn't have to come to the studio much. It's like perfect. I go here and I don't have to get dressed. It's perfect. And you know,
if that's what you like. Me, I'm like, I would kill myself. I think during COVID, I started doing the 7 mile because we're up in the hills. This like major kick your butt.
7 miles.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
And at first my husband goes, "Where were you?" And I was like, "Well, I just did this really long walk and it's all uphill." And then I got it down to like an hour and 15 because I just
You
powered.
wait for 7 miles in an hour 15?
If there's a way to do it.
Wow,
And
that's
7 was
pretty
an
good.
hour and a half.
the motorcycle.
It was an hour and a half, but it was
Wow.
I powered through it because I
for
put the
you.
music on, no phone. I wasn't listening to my phone. I wasn't talking, and I just powered. I wanted to get home.
that would have been a 3-day.
Do you miss living in Newport?
No, Newport was when I was married, and it's the orange curtain for sure. Back
Yeah.
there.
I have 2 of my
There's
daughters
no
are down there.
diversity down there. I shouldn't say all of Orange County. It's where I was in Laguna and Newport Coast. It was very white,
Yeah.
and we were in a gated community. My daughter would run around the houses and disappear, and I'm like, oh no, that's not reality. We're gonna leave here. But also, my brother lives in Laguna, is a little more diversified. But Newport was just, I wouldn't even go to the market without putting on like an outfit.
Right,
So I felt like
right.
I had to do that. And I was
Right.
Yeah, no, I don't miss Orange County at all. I grew up, born and raised in Beverly Hills and Malibu. And then when I moved away to Chicago for 2 years, because I needed to get out of here. And
For college,
to finish,
right?
Yeah, to
Yeah.
finish, I was in fashion school. And I had gotten my associate's degree, and then FITM didn't have a bachelor's degree back then.
Okay.
So I moved to Chicago because both step parents are from there. I grew up going to Chicago. I love Chicago. Met my husband there. Then we moved to Michigan for a year, and then we moved. I was like,
What does your husband do?
That's my ex-husband.
Oh, your ex-husband.
We
Okay.
won't talk about him. But
I got one of those.
anyway,
That's rich.
I agree.
my current
We're all
husband.
the same.
my
We're on the
current-
same boat.
it all led me to where I am today. But my current husband is, and that's my daughter's father. So, the first husband. But my current husband, he's in the industry. He's actually does a few things. So he's a precision car driver and actor.
wow.
So a lot of the time when you see a commercial and they're not crashing,
That's
driving,
him.
that's him. But he's also an actor and model, and he does the Fendi windows, like the full design when they get Fendi,
Oh,
Gucci, Versace, when they get completely pulled out, not the mannequins when they're building and designing. So
Wow.
he does that.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, he's a guy's guy. Like he would love to. He's from a small town in Northern California called Murphy's, California, in Calaveras County. It's up by like Angels Camps and Sonora.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the first time he took me to this town, it's a historic town, mining town. It's like 36 wine tasting rooms all in a row down like 4 blocks. I was like, we're buying a house here. I need to buy a house here. I bought a house there, and it rents out every weekend. It's a great little town. So he's a small town guy, like he's a guy's guy.
That's cool. That's awesome. It's fascinating. So it's good to get to know people, and like I said, there's all these similarities and like just kind of weird contacts. Like we probably know a lot of the same people in a different way.
100%. Especially since I know everybody. Or the funny thing is, everyone's like, I know Eden Alpert. She's my best friend. And then someone will say something to me, and I'm like, well, let me see if they're in my phone first, because I can't remember. I mean, I meet so
How
many
many do you
people.
have your phone?
So many, but I put like a description. Like I put with Christine, beautiful woman I met at Vibrato. Like that's I put little notes in, and then it's a memory. I try to put a picture in. I meet so many people every night, and I think because I'm Herb's daughter, they're so wanting to tell me their stories about how he's affected them.
And you said you're the closest to him, right? Because that's how we started talking about,
Well, it's just interesting. So there's something you don't know about me, or you might. I'm adopted at birth. The only one out of 3 of us. Okay. And I'm the only one who's worked for every one of my dad's companies.
Wow.
And I think it's because I'm the one that's the most out there.
Right.
I genuinely like working hard. It's not that they don't. My sister's a very talented actress. It's just
it's from one of 3 girls?
No, my brother Dory is 6 years older than me from his first marriage to my mom Sharon.
Okay.
And then my sister's from Lonnie and my dad.
Okay.
And I'm super close with her. Love my brother. He's a sweetie. We're just 2 totally different people. Ari and I are 9 years apart, but we grew up together. I was like the mom that wasn't available.
Okay.
Meaning they were just on tour. We were raised by nannies, so we kind of had each other. So Ari is like one of my best friends. I love Ari. Yeah.
Right on. This is fascinating.
I know. That's crazy that she knows someone that stayed at your mom's house and everything. We're going back to the East Coast next month and everything. I'm going to go see Nina's mom and everything. She hasn't met my family. This could get interesting.
Oh.
Yeah,
I can't wait to hear about that. Are you going to do podcasts on that weekend?
It might get interesting.
Make sure you take a camera with you.
It's weird. It's like most of my friends I grew up with back there, we all left. We all went on to our music careers, and we're all over the world, and some of them have done really well for themselves. Lots of big records and stuff. And so I go home. It's really a couple of stragglers that are still they did normal things. Like they did not get into the business, and that's fine. I got the wife and the kids and the grandchildren. Of course, like, oh, I'm that old. Oh shit. And then my mom's still there, my dad's still there, my brother's still there, but there's just a couple of. I just like it back there though for a minute. I can't stay. Yeah. I want to go out of the Cape. I want to do things like that because that's how I grew up. But she hasn't been. And
how long have you been together?
6-7 months.
Oh, it's new.
Yeah. And I got to do the math now. It's my senility, man. But it'll be cool. And then my dad's a cartoon character. He'll be definitely hitting on her because he doesn't realize he's 80 years old, and that's how he is. And my mom's your typical Italian mom. Nobody's good enough for a kid. It's never going to happen that way, no matter what.
But it's not always true. My husband said the same. My mom hates everybody I bring home. He's Italian. They're Portuguese and Italian from here, but they got that and small town. And I was like, I don't give a. Like I always had that attitude. Like I don't care what you think about me. Like I just love myself enough to know that I'm a good person. Yeah. So if his mom, he made it sound like she's just very angry. And I've already dealt with the angry Italians. My stepdad had an angry Italian mom who would chase us around with brooms. So the Chicago Italians.
Yeah.
So you know what? I bet you'll be surprised because probably now she's worried about whether you're going to have someone with you the rest of your life.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's 11-year, $15 million divorce.
Yeah,
she's like going, don't look at him, don't talk to them.
Right.
Wiped me out.
Yeah.
And
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, she was evil. And but she's in a better place now. She's still living in hell, and Halloween's coming up, so her trials are going to fly. Right? So I got a new broom, the X300, 5,000, but it'll be cool. It'll be cool though. Like there's some friends still there I want to see. Like I have a friend. This dude growing up, Mike Keegan. He was incredible guitar player, right? We all thought he was the dude to make it, and he had a couple record deal offers, but then he ended up basically working for my friend Nuno Betancourt, who ended up writing that More Than Words song, and Extreme became big. So he became his road tech, and but Mike can play, but so all over the world, ended up working. He ended up leaving Extreme and working for Van Halen for a while, and that was his idol. And he would go do rehearsals when Eddie wouldn't even show up because he'd be wrecked somewhere.
Right.
So he's doing all the rehearsals because he could play anything Eddie could.
Yeah.
So all this went down. And the last time I saw him out here, it was kind of a funny story. They were doing some tour, and he invited me to this dress rehearsal, and I guess Eddie had fallen back off the wagon, so he was really difficult to work with. So Mike said, I'm done. I'm just done. Yeah. I'm out of the business. I'm going to go buy a donut truck. It's kind of a switch. Here you are all over the world doing all these big tours. I lives home. He's got a big giant beard, drives a truck.
That's a simple life.
He's got a wife and kid, and
he gets to make donuts.
Alex Van Halen, Eddie's brother, became his minister and married him and his woman.
Wow.
He showed up at my house. I thought the girl was like 12. You know, I'm like, Mike, is this legal? I don't know. I'm just saying. Yeah. And but it's amazing how. But he lives back there. It's like he's the coolest dude in the world.
And he's got a donut truck. I want to see this donut truck.
I know. Yeah.
I'm like, wow, what a switch, man. I mean, you're in Japan doing a world tour. And you have want a donut? I mean, you know.
It's
pretty
a
good.
Totally different life.
And so you never know. But those are the kind of guys that live back there. And all the other dudes are gone.
You need to do a podcast with him. Because that's a story.
And he's really soft-spoken. We used to shoot bottle rockets out of his mother's, what do you call it, the bulkheads.
And, would you shoot? How it
I don't even know what that is.
See, back east, you have
We're
basements.
such city girls.
I know.
You have basements. And you go down to the basement, you have a bulkhead. And we would just be firing off bottle rockets all night.
But is the bulkhead the basement you have to open up with the wood?
Metal doors,
I know.
That's where I grew up, you know. Yeah. So used to it. Yeah, so it's a trip. But I haven't seen him in such a long time. He's a hoot. And but those are the people she's going to meet. Nothing exciting. But
sounds pretty exciting to me. See, I love that stuff.
I love
that.
I do want to go check out a studio. I don't know if I can get in, but my friend Jack Douglas, who produced Aerosmith and John Lennon and all that, we did a couple of records together. He just built a studio up there with Aerosmith. So I want to go check that out because that would be cool. But
where's the studio?
It's somewhere in Boston. I don't know where. But he also has a place in New York, another one out here, and he's the dude. And so it can be interesting. I mean, I know a lot of weird. It's like you say, you know everybody. I get the same reputation.
Yeah.
And that's why whenever I lose my phone, I freak out because if somebody ever got it. Like everybody's in that.
Everyone has a code name on my phone.
Oh,
I mean, I do.
See, I thought so too. I'm too insane to remember. I can't even remember their name in the beginning. So if I put
sometimes that happens to me.
If I put a code word, I'd be like
my phone. And I had to just do T Jones. So it's it's who's gonna figure that out? It could be anybody.
Yeah, but I can't. I won't remember. And sometimes I don't even put their name in. So I just look at the number and go.
Hint. What's the special hint? Because like Gene Simmons, I've got some gnarly ones too, and it's like, but they can't get in our phones anymore. They really have to use ID.
Like you can't even if someone passes away, like it's hard to break into something.
Yeah. I mean, there are hackers that do that, but it's not as easy anymore. You're pretty safe.
It's crazy
unless you have it unlocked. That like some people don't have it on a lock.
Right.
My phone's always unlocked because I can't remember to do things, and I'm really challenged. I'm very challenged.
No, it's okay. You're very specific to what you're good at,
and so that's why I have to have that thing glued to me. And but because one time it got stolen. I was in a hospital, and I had to take me down to do a CT scan or something. There's some phone, and like there's people next to me, all these dudes. I come back, boom, it's gone.
So wait, did you ever get it back?
No. So I had to call all my buddies, say, look, just so you know, my phone got stolen.
And you never got it back?
No.
Wow.
But that was probably before you could get the same phone number.
Well, I don't know. Everything went up a little bit. The cloud, I mean, whoever got that phone, it's like insane.
Well, the thing is now, I don't know how long ago this was, you can't really get your information. They just want the phone so they can resell it.
Yeah, I know. Because it's locked or something.
Like, once you get your new phone, well, this is with my phone anyway. Once I get it, like all my information, I had a cracked screen on the back, and I just was going to change it, and they said for some reason it's popping up that you can't we can't fix it. We just have to give you a new phone. He goes for $29.95.
Oh,
you can get this $1,300 phone for free. And I was like, what?
Really?
Okay, give me a new phone. It's a 12 Pro. I'm like, give me a new one. I just didn't want the crack to get worse on the back. So what I don't like is I have to put every freaking password in for every app.
I know.
But now it's like even my new computer, I just put my finger on it and it's like everything pops up. I love it.
Fascinating. I like going. And this has to do with what?
Nothing. I'm sorry. I don't know. Nothing.
No, it's all good.
We'll edit that out.
No, this is great. We're getting to know each other and stuff. I think it's awesome.
Does your dad have it where in UCLA and CalArts? Does he have things like seminars that people go and do
No,
seminars?
my dad doesn't like to go talk at seminars. But,
But does he have other people that come in and do
no,
that?
he doesn't handle that. It's just he puts his name on it, and then
And then
it's not that he doesn't show up. He'll do some things where he'll show up and look at it and tour and do that kind of thing, but he doesn't.
it's more just put his name.
There are
on
people
it.
that run it now. Yeah.
Right.
It's really just the money that he gives, and then continues to give and to support and
That's nice.
make sure, like UCLA, when they built their whole new theater, it was all built by the acoustician that he knows. And I'm blanking on his name. He's a famous guy, and I didn't even know what the word acoustician meant until he built Vibrato. I'm like, what's acoustician? And there's something for everything, you know. They have specific titles, and I learned that from him. I mean, how many people know that there's someone who
I know.
you
I
do
would
it
know
because
that.
that's what they do. They build these music studios and they know how to do the sound, and they're
There's a lot.
incredibly
There's
talented.
a lot to it.
Yes. Well, I learned that with Vibrato because even with Vibrato, the way the wood is placed and the way the
Really?
pods on the ceiling, if you look at those, the lighting, which was made in New Orleans just before Katrina hit, those, the way they're placed.
This is a very simple studio, but it took 2 years to put the panels up.
Yeah. Well,
Because
we
they're
just
all
put
different.
panels at Vibrato.
They're all different types of material, different
Yeah.
thicknesses. And
Why
the
did
place-
you, what, they didn't have panels before?
The panels just help change the sound to make it that
Oh,
much
wow.
better, so that when you're eating and dining and people are talking, it's not
Oh, wow.
bouncing off the same. Even going up the stairs to the second floor, there's this ceramic, this plaster, and it looks like snow almost. We painted it
No,
different
it's
colors,
really pretty.
but all that
It-
has to do with sound.
Yeah, this is all orange peel. There's no parallel surfaces.
Yeah.
It's floated
See,
room.
This is not my professional. This is not my thing.
Yeah.
So I listen and I learn and I'm intrigued, but
It's a whole nother planet.
Yeah.
And, I did study acoustics a little bit when I went to Berkeley, and because I'm a mathematical mind, I got bored, and so I just said, I'm just going to hire people, and that's pretty much what I did. Like I say, I'm a lazy creature.
I'm lazy. I say I don't do math well, but if I have that dyslexia with your address.
Oh, yeah, you said that.
So I had it as a kid, and I still do it with numbers when I'm lazy. I just write it down the wrong way, or when I just don't feel like trying really hard. So I've never been the numbers person at Vibrato because I would mess up closing every night. I'm like, Dad, I am not a numbers person. I will do the marketing. I will get extra. I know everyone who's on TV. I know every journalist. I will get everyone here. You don't even need a PR firm. If we did PR, had a firm, it wouldn't be as authentic. And I think my
Right.
dad and this family comes from a very authentic place in general.
Nice. You're very interesting. You have so much going on.
Oh, I could talk for hours.
Oh my god.
I love it.
So when are you going to plan your new trip for?
So now we're
I was going to ask you that, but I was like, that's totally off.
Mike, right? Mike doesn't know about this, but so this trip came together because we're a party group. We love to have fun and drink and have fun and drink and whatever. And then I get really tired of it. But
You mean you can do it for a concentrated amount of time?
yeah, but 14 days was a little tough on me this time. That's why I'm a little congested. So and I'm tired still. Like I just can't seem to catch up. But I'm not complaining. We put this-
14 days. That's a long
Well,
time.
because we had to get to St. Thomas and you want to adjust. So we stayed there 2 days and then 3 days. When we got back from the cruise, it was my husband's birthday. So I said, we decided to go to Miami for a few days to kind of come back into things. That wasn't the best idea, but it was okay. So now everyone is missing they're having like this, when you get married. And all the hype and now everyone's like on this email. There's 100 of us.
Oh my god.
Oh my God, I miss you. Oh my God. And we have this whole picture wheel that we're doing. So it's just been like it's nonstop on WhatsApp.
That's cute.
But they're all wanting another one. So because we put this together, we're like, everyone's like, do you want to do it 2024 or 2023? I'm like, 2023 next summer. And we were all talking about Croatia. Because what's good about a ship, and this particular ship, because it's only 53 rooms, is the only ship that can get into ports that the big ships can't get into.
That's good.
Because it's smaller. So it's really, really cool. And so you get a bunch of adults that haven't really connected in 3 years, that haven't really traveled much. We were just in Tahiti, but you need that connection, that release. So there was a lot of chocolate medicinal mushrooms going on, which are pretty awesome. And they're not the mushrooms you think they were. It's just happy dance. Like you just want to dance. We had our own DJ on the boat, 2 of them. One from South Africa, one that's lives in
really
Mammoth
fun.
right now that just came out with this great new tea. So every day we got on the boat from like an island or something, and it would be like either thumping music or oldies but goodies. And
fun.
you just see us all dancing and eating. And one day I went down hard, didn't come out of my room all day. We had 2 theme nights. One night was a white night, one night was Love Boat theme night, which I hated, but then we had fun. I hate that era. So now I'm already suggesting an all red night.
Well, that's cute.
Because everyone in red is really cool because white's so typical.
Yeah.
And I haven't thought of another theme night. But I'm all about, I don't know how long I'm on this planet and I don't worry about it, but I'm going to travel and I'm going to live my life. So Lonnie and my dad being like, aren't you worried? I've been to Chicago, Tahiti. I'm like, look, there's COVID. I'm careful around other people, but I have to live my life. I don't know how much time I have left. And I got to go.
Right.
I got a lot of places I want to see.
So is your daughter right now, she wants to do documentaries?
Yeah, she's into that. She's like, Mom, I'm not going to make money. I'm like, babe, don't worry about making money. Do what you're passionate about. The money will come later. But, it's she's passionate about it, but she's got to start somewhere.
And what does she want to do documentaries on? Like about...
She's got her own vision of stuff. One of them is addiction in the industry, in the music industry. Yeah. And it's really hard to get people to agree to do these talks. I'm like, I can get you people, but you gotta it's gonna take years. It doesn't just happen over a year.
I can get you pretty much anyone.
Yeah. See, thank you, Dad.
I've been in
and
and out for 20 years
crazy?
myself, so I know everyone.
Dad's, you were 20 years?
In and out for 20 years, yeah.
And I think this industry in general, Dad's documentary, have you seen Dad's documentary, Herb Alpert Is? Have you seen Herb Alpert Is, the documentary that came out in May 2020?
No.
Dad did. So Dad did a documentary, but it literally was made by John Scheinberg in a year, which isn't enough time to be with someone. And so he controlled it. So I said to my dad, he goes, what do you think? I said, I think you laughed out a lot. And I don't think you hit on the fact that you wanted to commit suicide when you were with my mom and you were so famous and gorgeous that you just didn't know how to handle Scheinberg? It. I think that's his name, Scheinberg.
I work with the Scheinberg brothers.
It could be different than this one.
Okay.
Really nice guy.
Yeah.
Probably in his 50s or 60s.
So you thought he should have touched on the mental
I felt
health.
like he needed a younger person, and he did not bring enough of the Biggie Small people in that sample his music, that admire him. He just brought the Lou Adlers and the I Got Lionel on there and a few other people. But I'm like, you need to bring the people that were inspired by it. Slash told me he played jazz before he ever played rock. He's like, that's how I started. It's like the root of it. And your dad inspired me. And he just didn't use enough of, if you want people to know who you are, why do you keep going to your same demographic? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I was telling Kylie, maybe when I hate to say this, I have a feeling he's going to be here another 10 years because he has longevity in his family and he's super healthy. But I was like, Kylie, maybe you do another one. But he's got to let go of control a little bit. You got to really let people do the stuff that you might not might not want people to hear, but your story is so
important. And it'll touch somebody.
Yeah,
and that's
your story can really help
affect someone. I know.
I've done a lot of work on myself because I come from such a fucked up family. If you really heard my story, you'd be like, I don't know how she's so happy. But that's a story I chose to change and make it a beautiful story. So when someone's on a pity pot about, you come from money, I'm like, I never asked my dad to help me do any of this. I did it on my own. Do you really think your family was very dysfunctional? Fuck yeah. My dad left my mom when I was 3 after they adopted me, as a baby infant. And then he's on the road. I'm born on the year that he's exploding bigger than the Beatles, 1966. So he's not present. My mom is literally a 100-pound little tiny petite thing. Every kind of drug you could think of was in my house. And she had a secret sex house on Alpine, we lived on Maple. And there were, she would, one drink would put my mom over the edge. My mom was drinking a bottle. And she just was a nightmare. I would call my dad, come get me, and then I'd go to Malibu. And I was very adult at a very young age, so I also have my own issues. But I've worked on those patterns and things like that. But it's not normal, to be in LA. Right. I think in general, it's just a very different lifestyle. It's Hollywood. And then you're an adult child, or you're a child of someone who I could get out of every ticket. I never got arrested.
I would be on a Quaalude and driving down Sunset Boulevard, and they'd be like, just go home, Eden.
Wow.
Twisted. I never got in an
Right.
accident, and I'm not I never wanted to disappoint my dad. So I think I never really got in a lot of trouble. And when he called me an alcoholic once when I was 16, I was like, oh, well, I'll never be drinking again in front of you. I mean, I drink, they know I'm a fun girl, but I have a check on it. I never became an addict.
Right. No, but I think that story, if I think those are the kind of stories, especially within music or entertainment, that kind of need to be told, because there's so many people that
And
are
there's a lot
dealing
of guys that will talk about it
Yeah.
because they've already read their books, and
Yeah.
I know them all. I mean, for real. I mean, for years.
It's important, I think,
I
to
go to
share.
meetings with the guys every week. So
Yeah, most of my friends are addicts. I've lost a lot of friends. Eden Sassoon's sister was Vidal's daughter. I mean, it's just, I think people.
I just lost another one. My friend in the Foo
sorry.
Fighters. He's died.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. It's just awful. And he was sober since 2018, right? Like, apparently.
Not anymore.
Yeah. But you don't. The scary thing about that is I have a lot of friends that still so these mushrooms are not hardcore drugs. They're it's like a medicinal mushroom with chocolate.
Where do you get them?
We have people that sell them. We have a friend.
So what do they make you feel like?
They make
what
you
would you
feel-
describe it?
So I never did ecstasy until I was like 35. It's kind of like that. Not in love with you. I don't want to sleep. It's happy. You want to dance and you laugh a lot. That's it. It's like, because I can't smoke weed. It's not my thing.
Why not?
I just I call it God fucked me because I'm like, I can't move. It's awful for me. And it's not what it was when I was in high school.
I never got weed. I only did it twice when I was 40. I was in Amsterdam.
Well, that's a good place.
Guitar World magazine brought me out there for something. And I mean, I've never done drugs in my life. I'm just strictly straight up alcohol. But so smoked these 2 joints and edible, and I felt like a stupid motherfucker.
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
felt
like
really
going, I feel dumb.
Yeah.
I can't do anything.
I
And
can't
I'm like
move.
going, why do people do this
I don't
shit?
know.
And
I don't get it.
never again.
I
Not
still
for
have
me.
friends that are doing it, but even with cocaine now, which is not what it was back. This is so awful that I can say this in the 70s. My mom had it all over the house, so you don't know if you got fentanyl in it. So
Yeah,
you do
I
it
know.
one time, even if you're just trying it. I'm so afraid for my friends that they're gonna die. I'm like, do you guys know what you're?
Yeah, I
buying?
know.
It's
I
like
know,
not the
I
real
know.
shit like it used to be. So anyway, it's just, I look at all these. We do this to like mask stuff when you're not happy. I feel like
Right,
during
right, right.
COVID, I tried this. I remember I was scared to try the mushroom chocolate because I was like, I hated mushrooms after the 3rd time I did them when I was like 19. I never wanted to do it again. I had 2 really good trips and then a really bad trip. And I was like, oh, it's really fun to roll in the sand and feel psychedelic, but I don't want to feel like that ever again. So I did it, and it was on my husband's birthday. We were just dancing and laughing in the house. And I was like to my daughter, you want to try this? She's like, yes. And it was like, it's not a drug. Doesn't feel like a drug. It just feels like you're
It's
happy.
chocolate?
It's a chocolate crunch bar.
Oh, wow.
So it doesn't even have that yucky taste. And it's like this microdosing, they call it. It's like a microdose.
I've heard of that. Huh.
Yeah, it's actually people are taking it daily for a natural antidepressant. You don't feel anything. It just eventually gives you kind of like this.
This is what I've been reading about, like this whole thing, like now, like all these certain things for like depression, like ketamine and something like
Oh
that.
no, fuck that.
But
That's
I,
a
like,
horse
I've seen all
tranquilizer.
sorts
My
of
mom
things.
had that
I'm
shit
like,
all over the
what?
house, and she weighed 70 pounds. Like, who takes a horse tranquilizer? That just no.
For the worse.
No, it scares me. I'm not that like. One of the DJs on this trip was doing acid, and I'm like, what? Like LSD, acid? I never did any of that stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I'm not trying to judge, but I was like, I am so scared of not being in control.
Yeah, me too.
Like,
Like,
or-
like, I don't want to end up like on the top of the
I
building,
know.
like on top of it.
Are you taking?
like you hear those stories, like someone's on top of the building and then they jump off, they break out their bones and everything. It's like I don't want to be.
Oh, that felt really good.
Like I don't want to ever get in that kind
I
of.
had a buddy here, and my friend here met him, unfortunately. My friend Andy Brower, guitar tech for the Stars. He did all the stuff. He did Van Halen, Slash. I mean, these are all guys I knew. And he got so bananas on cocaine. Now, you can get psychotic beyond belief.
Right.
So I lost touch with him for a long, long time. And out of the blue, I needed some guitar work done because I have over 100 guitars here. And so I said, I need something to set up my shit, you know, and I don't know anybody anymore because I'm out here in the woods, you know, and so I talked to my friend Bray, and he goes, dude, Andy Brower. I said, is he still alive? I thought he was dead because he got more famous for his drug addiction than anything else. He goes, yeah, there's an Albudelsi, man, with this chick. I'm like, all right, so I go over there, and it was just like a Cheech and Chong movie. You go out to the back, and you go to open the door, puffs of smoke coming out, right? The sweat, and you're going, you can't breathe. You're like, I'm like, dude, you smoking weed? He goes, nah, man. I'm like, yeah, right. You get baked just walking in the room, man. So long story short, his girlfriend ends up kicking him out. I had no idea how crazy he was. So I move him into my house. Bad idea. And this guy was on another level of bananas. And he would go out in the backyard, scream to the sky.
Oh, God.
There were aliens coming down all over the place.
Are you sure it was his blow?
I know. Just imagine there.
We'd go out to lunch, and he'd be driving. He didn't have a license. Everybody's warrants out for arrest and all this kind of stuff. So he'd be driving, be looking at people in the other car going like this.
Sounds like he's on something else.
Right. And he'd go, look, that's a 42447, that's FBI, that's CIA. Look, see, that's a spaceship. There's a Battlestar Sharkey behind the cloud. I'm going, Andy, you are like insane.
And he's still alive?
Oh, I don't know, but I don't know where he is now. And it'd be in my house, and he calls me up one night and goes, Shawn, you gotta come outside. There's something in your backyard. What, an alien lander? I don't know, right? And he goes, there's a koala bear in your tree. Right? I'm going, dude, they live in Australia. They don't live out there. He goes, no, look, it's a koala bear. I'm like, man, you should be in the tree. And but I met a lot of these guys.
Yes.
And so then I was actually hanging out with Slash one night. I said, dude, you know Andy. He goes, dude, stay away from that guy. He's insane. He did all Slash's guitars. He did everybody's guitars. They were Clapton, Jimmy Page, all of them. They're all like, oh, the guy is crazy. It was completely certifiable. It took me a lot to get him kicked out of here.
Yeah.
Because COVID hit.
Yeah.
Now you can't leave.
Yeah.
And he assaulted me because he was really strung out. And he goes, he hits me. I had just had heart surgery.
Oh, no.
And he hits me, puts me on the floor, and he goes, you're so American. I'm a Russian. And
Oh, my God.
slams his door in the room, and I'm laying on the ground going, what the fuck just happened, right? And then he comes back out and goes, you're no longer one of the 2% carbonoids that are going to survive the alien war. They're going to eat you. This is when you know something's wrong.
Yeah.
And the cops did nothing.
The cops do nothing.
So I had to have, what do you call them? The exterminator come and get rid of him. This retired sheriff who brought over
That's
two
when
Marines.
the Italian
And
side.
bam, he was out.
Yeah.
But I meet him around all those guys. All those kind of guys. I meet them all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And
We have to be careful. I mean, I think I'm too open sometimes, probably.
Yeah.
I know this
Too
for
nice.
30 years. I had no idea.
Yeah, but I'm a little more guarded now since our world is really fucked up. We had something happen at Vibrato the other night that was really bad that triggered me when Will did what he did. We just had a group of people come in on a party bus. I'm not usually there on Saturdays. So they didn't even call me. I was 5 minutes away. But just something escalated. They walked in unhappy, American Persians, from Glendale, young in their 30s, jacked up on something when they came in. Based on what I saw on the cameras, just not happy with their table, which was the best long table downstairs by the bar. They wanted upstairs. They said they were promised. We never promise unless it's like a set menu with that many people. And then it escalated into, all I saw on the cameras was they never were happy. And then my GM went to talk to them and was bending over talking to them. And they see the one guy jump across the table, and it just turns into a brawl
really?
at 11 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
And they started it. And you never see any of my staff throw a punch. You just see them getting hit. One of my busters has a broken nose.
Wow.
One of them had his shirt ripped off, tables knocked over. I mean, this is not that kind of place.
So then,
Guests were like running, scared,
Wow.
because all we were trying to do was get them out.
Right.
And every time they'd get out the door, they'd come back
back
in
in.
punching.
Wow.
And then the police wouldn't come for like an hour and a half. When they finally came, Paco, my guy who's like our runner with the food, who's my only big guy, was like, dude, I guarantee you these kids, they're like Persians from Glendale, because they wouldn't write a report. They're like, it's not that bad. Like,
They wouldn't even write a report?
No. So they leave. I guess they got called by them, so they had to go write a report for them, which meant they had to come back to us. So at 11, they came back and they're like, they're Persians from Glendale. I want to press charges, but my dad and his guys are like, that's just going to bring press to us. It's really bad. So, because we're not that kind of, then they went on Yelp and posted all this shit that we were the ones who started it with, like my busser with his shirt ripped off, like that guy broke his nose. I'm like, so I have everyone going to Yelp and like pushing this, and we're trying to call Yelp now. It should be illegal to post, because I went in on Sunday to see the video and it was disturbing what I saw. And my whole staff has PTSD at the time. They're like scared because we're not that. So I said, I called Dad and I said, we're going to I need armed security on the weekends. This isn't the first time. Wow. It's the first time this bad has happened, but it's not the first time I'm having issues with people that are off right now and feeling like they want to fight. And then I get home and I see the Will Smith shit, and then I hear his speech and I'm like, I'm all over like Instagram, like my friends Christine Devine on Fox and my friend Lisa Fox on Kiss FM, they're all posting stuff, and my dad's right-hand guy goes, don't you think this is going to escalate? I go, fuck no. I'm so mad right now. I'm like, this is like, violence is not okay. No one should touch each other. And yet this guy does something batshit crazy that was not planned, and it was not an act, and it was just crazy. And it shouldn't be acceptable. And I feel like there should be consequences, and there aren't. Like, these guys are not going to get in trouble for what they did. They're going to try and sue us, and we're going to take them down. Wow. You know, that's like, but they came in saying, we're going to take this place down. We know Eden. And I'm like, oh, they really don't want to mess with me. Because I'll do what you did. I will make the phone calls to all the people that I already got them blacklisted at the center. I went like next door to the sushi place. I'm like, wow, you got to know about these guys. They're like, oh, they've been here once before. And
how big was the group?
14 people, 7 girls, 7 guys. But the guys were like that, you know, Persians. They have that entitled thing, like a Russian sometimes. But I'm not categorizing them all. It's just a group of people that I deal with a lot. And I know who's got the entitlement thing. And I made a reservation, and like they own the place, and then I'm gonna take you down. I'm an influencer, is the new thing to say. I'm a big influencer. Like, I don't think you guys know that I could actually get the news on here in 2 seconds, and I got clear video. Like, I wanted, you know how people post, have you seen these people on Facebook? And then it goes viral. Like, everyone knows those people. My dad's like, don't do it.
Yeah, I know.
Like, shut up.
That's crazy.
Cool. This is way out.
So wait, what premiere are you going to tonight?
Tonight, my friend Neil McDonough, he's like, if you pull up a picture of him, he's the bad guy in every movie. He's got white hair and crystal blue eyes. He's always like the bad guy in Batman and every movie. He's got a new movie coming out, Boone, tonight. Boone or Dune? Boone.
No, Dune was from the Academy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's another one of those. There's actually 2 really good people in it. One of the girls from Animal Kingdom, you would know, and another.
Where's the premiere?
And the guy from Sons of Anarchy with the scar on his face, the Irish guy. Flannery, Flannery. But Neil's a very good friend of ours, so his wife and him invited us.
Where's
it's
the
a Chinese
premiere?
Grumman theater.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Super fun. And then then you do a big thing in May for your birthday.
So every May 15th, yes, because it's a big revenue night for the restaurant. I don't do a cover charge, you know, because I'd like to pay for the music on that night, but everyone wants to come up because I'm just the party girl.
That's fun.
It's like, yes,
I
picked the band. I've got Dave Schultz and Katya Reicherman, who was the sax player for Rod Stewart for a bazillion years. She's another badass. So it's an all-female band aside from Dave Schultz, who.
That's fun.
I can't remember the name of the band. It's like yacht rock fun night, and sometimes it's different band every year. I just decide, and it's someone who.
And how old are you gonna turn?
This time's 56. Last year I did a big party at my house. Not big, 30 people, because it was still COVID. I did 60s theme, like had my makeup artist come and do like this whole thing, and had the poof up here, and it was really fun. I had Taylor Dane came and sang because she's one of my best friends. You should get Taylor out here eventually. You know who Taylor is, right? She's working with Greg Fields on a new. Greg is like such a badass drummer.
Didn't you say you were doing something or going to something there, or that she's helping you with one of your events?
One of my charity events.
Yeah,
the
for
Boys and Girls Club in November.
Mm-hmm. What are you doing for that? That's at the restaurant?
That's at my restaurant, but they put it all together.
Okay.
Yeah, I just help them. I sit on 4 boards.
So you sit on that board, and then
I don't sit on. I sit on Omni Peace, which is their big event, is on the 5th of April. They're
What do they
honoring
do?
Kevin Costner. We've built 9 schools in Africa, so music
wow.
schools in Africa so far. Her name is Mary Fernaro. So it's a big event. Kind of, it's interesting because she's a white woman from Florida, you know, and went to Africa to go on a vacation and just became very enamored with the education system, the music system, and the children there, and started this organization with Courtney Cox back in the day. Now it's just her. And Kevin and Christine Costner are going to be honored that night. And it's just, I have like Billy D. Williams coming in, and we give free tickets to some people because we wanted it to be a diverse crowd. But she's already raised a lot of the money through the sponsors. So the guy who helps run the Boys and Girls Club event, I brought him in to meet her because I thought he could help her after 3 years of not doing an event, really take it to another level. He knows how to put on a good event. Start it with the jam. And I try to post as much as possible in the moment. I don't leave it, I do in a story. But I sit on that board. I sit on Vista Del Mar, which is where I was adopted through. It's the biggest
that's neat.
family
I
and
like
child
that. I like
services organization in the
Were
city
you
of
adopted
LA.
at birth?
They've been around since 110 years. Vista Del Mar's been around.
That's interesting.
And then I sit on Concern Foundation, which is cancer researcher, which is my cousin Derek Alpert. He's the president. And then my mom's foundation, since she passed away, left a lot of money, which is like a gift to me because philanthropy, I take after my dad. I'm all about giving back.
Yeah.
But we're not in such a small group of education and arts only. We're kind of all, it's my brother and I, and we decide where it goes. So I'd rather you not give it to me and do that. I love that.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you for watching. Come back next week and click subscribe, and we will have another guest, and we'll go from there.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
Awake.